It looks absolutely terrifying, to be honest. I don't game a lot. And actually, I used to be that kid that sort of, I feel like people had this mate who wasn't good, would only slow people down as far as like getting to the next level is concerned. I just passed the pad. So I used to like watching the storyline unfold in between the actual gameplay a lot of the time. And one of the reasons I love Little Hope is it sort of resembles a film in lots of senses. So Little Hope is the second game in the Dark Pictures Anthology. It is a standalone, intense cinematic horror game. It follows 4 students and their professor after their bus crashes on a field trip, and they find themselves in the mysterious and foggy town of Little Hope. And there they come into contact with all sorts of things that you'd rather avoid. I was lucky with Bandersnatch because that was sort of an experience of shooting with an audience or a gamer's perspective or choices in mind. So that served me in some respects when it came to shooting Little Hope. I'm really grateful to have had sort of 2 experiences where the audience member or the gamer is considered, to that extent in 2 different mediums. It's interesting. I think I'd characterize, Bandersnatch as a sort of a game as much as it is as a movie, and I think that while Little Hope is every bit a game, it's so filmic and cinematic that they both almost exist in this exciting grey zone that potentially defines the future of gaming. Midsommar, I knew what my character's destiny was, but with something like Midsommar, we shot out of continuity, and with that, it becomes quite difficult to sort of manage a character arc. And indeed, I'm responsible for 3 different characters in the game of Little Hope. We did at least shoot in continuity. The only time it was slightly tricky, I think, or I found it most challenging, was when one of the characters I'm responsible for, who exists in 1692, meets the character I'm responsible for in the present day, and they have a conversation with each other. Now, we shot those 2 conversations sort of side by side. I wasn't necessarily talking to myself in the moment that we were shooting that scene, but it was trippy, and I've actually seen that scene. I've seen that in the gameplay, and it's cool. I think it's turned out to be something really interesting.
Did you do mocap for this?
Yeah, this was mocap, yeah. I enjoyed it. I think there's probably more left up to the imagination. Obviously, you're kind of operating on a blank slate, a studio without any kind of set in place. But that's also really freeing as well. And there's something sort of inherently playful and childlike about that, about so much of it being left up to your imagination. And then, of course, having seen a lot of the gameplay and seeing, the incredible work from the visual effects team, seeing how that world's kind of come to life, and then watching your performance kind of translated and copy and pasted into it is just bizarre but amazing nonetheless. Every character in this can make it to the end. Every character can die as well, and of course there's an opportunity to go back and try again, but the death scenes were wildly intense on the day. And I think again, one of the sort of emphases across the anthology is putting relatable, real, ordinary people in very extreme, intense circumstances. So we wanted the reactions to those deaths and to the kind of horrifying elements that they come into contact with to evoke real horror and a real sense of terror. So we were going for the most authentic reactions we could, and there's a lot of screaming on set, a lot of fun and banter too, but there were some dark moments as well. So it makes for a balanced game. Little Hope is available on PC, Xbox and PS4, and it's out this fall.